Riley, I am so glad to have you here in Voices of Stack. You are a recent graduate of our data science and analytics program, and I am excited for you to share your journey. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Sounds good.
Okay, great. What compelled you to want to learn data science and analytics? I mean, this is like a heavy subject. So what made you decide to want to jump into learning this?
Yeah. So I think what really inspired me was just that I was really interested in coding and computers and kind of have been my whole life, but I never really knew of a great way to kind of apply computers to my life. And then when I found that there was this opportunity, I realized that this was going to be a way in which I was going to be able to stay motivated in learning this. And I mean, I guess also in a more broad sense that I am a very visual person.
Mm,
And yeah, and as much as I enjoy spending my time working on a computer, I also enjoy being able to see some sort of physical output from my result. And data analytics and data science is a really great field because you can, build things that are definitely complex, but ultimately they have some sort of overall function that I don't know, just makes sense to the way I think.
So let's talk about learning data science and analytics. I mean, this is, what, like we said, it's a heavy subject. So, what was the hardest thing about learning it? And how did you overcome the inevitable hiccups that come with learning this topic?
Yeah. So I think I kind of have a bit of a unique perspective on this because leading up to this, I had told myself that if I was going to go back to school and finish my degree or further my education, that I was going to have to be something that I was very, very invested in. And, I don't want to waste any more of my time taking classes that I just wasn't interested in. And then to discover Stack. So I would say, just realizing that I found something that is interesting enough for me to, want to go into has really been, one of the
Oh,
biggest motivators. Yeah, just in general. Um, and I guess the part that was kind of the hardest for me was kind of just accepting the fact that there was no reason that I couldn't do this,
mm,
and that honestly the most important thing to learn was just how to Google things.
yes, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
once I
so
learned that stuff, it definitely there were moments where I would struggle, but I would keep going until you find the right answer, and it's always there. And also at the same time, just, having the instructors and the TAs sort of there to, when I ask them a question, say, "That's really cool, keep going with this." Like, there's no reason you shouldn't keep exploring things that are interesting to you.
that's awesome. Good. So you had a really kind of supportive learning environment that encouraged your curiosity and
Oh,
learning.
absolutely.
Let's shift the conversation a bit and talk about, so there's the technical skills portion of your data science and analytics program,
Mhm.
but there's also what's called the professional acceleration portion of the program. Why was this portion of the class important to you? Can you share any of your key learnings with everyone? And what would you say to people who are skeptical about needing it?
Okay, let's see. I would say that especially as someone who is not coming from a professional environment,
Yeah.
I found the career portion of the class just to be immensely helpful for just understanding a bit, about some of like the more general ideas behind like the work that
Mhm.
I'm going into, and understanding a bit about like organizational structure and I guess how I work best. Um, and I also, I mean, I know you kind of mentioned this a little before, but I really did find the entire portion on LinkedIn at the same time very helpful because I was able to sort of see, what sort of skills people were looking for, but also kind of learn, what a presentable profile looks like and, what sort of things people might be looking for, outside of just those specific things listed, in the job. So it was definitely a lot of learning just about the professional world that as someone who transitioned out of the hospitality industry, it was immensely helpful and has definitely sort of helped me just kind of slide right into having this new job.
That's great. That's so great. It's true. There are so many people that come into our program that don't have a LinkedIn profile. This is the first time that they're creating one. And so I think it's fantastic that you were able to derive so much benefit in getting one. So, Riley, you said you first got your foot in the door with this current job you have through networking, which is awesome. And when we just talked about how important networking is and the power of networking. And I hope that every single person that goes to our program experiences the power of networking. So I'm thrilled that you did. But you said you had 5 interviews total, right? So that means you had 4 more interviews. What was that like? And what tips do you have for people who are going through the interview process? Because it sounds intense, but it also sounds normal.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I definitely will say, um, first biggest thing is don't freak out if they give you 5 interviews. The more interviews that you have, the better your chances of getting the job, not the worse. That was definitely the biggest thing that stressed me out during that entire time period. But also, I would say it might be worth your time to just watch some YouTube videos with other people who have done similar things. That was something that I got a few just little interview tips from those people who had transitioned careers and had also made a successful YouTube career. And yeah, they definitely seem way smarter than I am. So I figured I may as well trust them. um, and being able to have concise answers for those sort of personal challenges that you overcome, I think was something that was definitely important during the interviews. And especially from coming from a place where I don't really have any relevant experience in any fields, I had to draw a lot from my own life. But I think that actually kind of gave me a leg up as well because I was able to say, this is something that I'm interested in outside of work that I can actually apply this directly to the principles of what I am being asked to do for the job. Um, so yeah, I'd say, yeah, just show off your soft skills.
I really love how you pulled from all facets of your life and your life experience to make it relevant during the interview. And I'm sure what that showed was, of course, not only your extraordinary soft skills, but your curiosity and your aptitude. So that's really cool. All right, we are down to our last 2 questions. Um, what advice would you give your younger self, Riley?
My younger self, I would say I never really thought that there was gonna be a job out there in the world for me that I was gonna truly enjoy. And I genuinely believe that. And now that I've found like just the field of data analytics and data science, I sort of feel can't believe I felt that way. And you know, I just I don't know, you know, there are so many people out there who feel similarly to you in a lot of ways, and they likely are going to go into jobs that make them happy. So, therefore, unless you are one out of 7.5 billion people who is not happy with having a job, like there are a group of people out there who probably felt the same way as you until they found what they were doing.
That's really inspiring. It is really hard, I would say right now, to the discovery process of finding jobs and careers that are interesting and work that's meaningful is so hard. And so I'm glad that you found this opportunity and that hopefully your words are inspiration for others
Yeah,
making
I
that
thought
next
I
step.
was going to be waiting tables until I maybe finally got motivated to do something. And then someone gave me an opportunity. And yeah,
And
here I
here
am.
you are. Here you are. Less than a year later, your life is transformed.
It's crazy. I almost can't believe it.
My last question for you. For someone who is at an inflection point professionally, as you were, right? You were waiting tables and you're like, is this it? Is there going to be something else for me? What advice do you have for them to navigate that inflection point? What tips do you have for them to actually,
Yeah.
get up the motivation and courage to do it?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest thing was just taking a moment to think about on a broader scale, what were going to be the steps that were going to actually make me happy, and why would I not do the things that ultimately are going to be more enjoyable for me to do. But it was really hard to get myself away from a job that would hand me a stack of money every single night at the end. um but I will say that it feels scary, but one of the best moments I can think of in the past year was telling my boss that I was cutting down my hours so I could take this class. And I don't think he was super happy about that, but it felt so good.
It felt so good, I'm sure, because it was like, yes, I'm making a change. I'm investing in myself, and you kind of, it's almost like ripping the band-aid off, right? You do something that's probably painful initially, but you know that it's an investment in the long run.
I said, yeah, but no, in general sense, just tell someone else to make you accountable, to keep you on
Mhm.
track.
Yeah.
Because that is the biggest thing, is if, so it's one thing to let yourself down, but if you're letting down the people that you told you're doing that, it goes beyond you.
It's true. There's something about the power of community, right? When you're trying to make a change, doing it with a collective, not
Mhm.
just people in the classroom, but also people in your personal and professional life who are cheering for you and rooting for you for this change. It becomes a lot
I call
harder.
it crowdsourcing motivation.
Crowdsourcing motivation. I love it. I think that's such a brilliant, you should trademark that term. Crowdsourcing motivation. I think is such a great one. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. On that note, Riley, thank you so much for sharing your journey, from where you started from, where you landed, from the fact that you need to crowdsource your motivation in order to get you through
Yeah,
these big inflection points. Those are going to be words that I think resonate very much for many people. So thank you so much, Riley.
absolutely. It's a pleasure to talk to you.